What's up, guys? Matt Sheffield with AmericanMadeExotics here. I just had a customer the other day said they were having some trouble putting the VE-6 rack together, and I figured perfect timing to just take a minute and show you how to do it, because we actually just got 9 more of them the other day, and I still got a couple of them to put together. That's the rack that we use for all our babies. I've tried multiple things, and I really like this VE-6 rack because it's so versatile. I like the extra height that it has too. These tubs are a little bit taller than like the Vision tubs. So if you take a good look right here, one thing I like is I can start a baby in this tub and not be super rushed to upgrade it to a bigger tub. Here's some yearlings from last year. And you can see, you can start a brand new baby in it. There's plenty of room. Girl with a little bit of size. And then what I really like, a little older girl, but what I really like is then if they get even bigger than that, I can still just swap it out to the single tub per shelf. And I mean, that's, almost ready to breed female. Same rack that I use for the babies. Back when I first started, I had multiple racks where I had like the baby tub racks, and then they'd get a little size on them, and I'd have to move them to like a 12-quart style rack, and then they'd get a little more size on them, and I have to move them to a sub-adult rack. I really like the fact that I can have one rack system and have 3 different tubs to really kind of fit my needs. I don't use these tubs that much, the very small ones. The only reason I don't is because I know myself, and if I put animals in these little tubs, I'm going to fill the racks regardless. But this is still a great size tub for a baby. Plenty of room. It still would hold the water cup in here. Let me show you. But they still have a hot and a cold side. It'd be great for smaller species too. It could house ball pythons though in a pinch. But I like the fact that I can set them in this middle-sized tub, and I don't have to worry about upgrading it anytime soon. And I don't have problems with them not eating or anything in that smaller tub like that. If I do, I just put a hide in there, but most of them, it's so deep and dark that they still just start eating fine, starting fresh babies in there. So it's a cool rack. It's the one that I like. I love the versatility by it. So we'll go ahead and take a look at how we put them together, which is super easy, especially once you see it one time. And really, once you do it one time, you'll never have a problem doing it again. So I'll give you a closer look how we do it and just throw it together. It doesn't take long. Everything is cut to fit. It's got little grooves and stuff. Kind of holds itself in place. It's got screw holes already. So we'll take a closer look at that. And also, this is the thermostats that we use for it, which is the VE2 or the VE300 x2s, which is the dual probe one. And I like doing my room by having a VE2 at the bottom and then VE6s on top. If I had a little bit more space, you could even do 2 VE2s at the bottom. But the thing I like about that is the floor gets a little bit colder in the wintertime. So I like the bottom 2 tubs being on their own probe, and then a set of 6 and a set of 6, and those both being on their own probe. So that's just how we do it. But again, let's go take a look at how we put them together, and you'll see how easy it is. All right, so we relocated to the house. This is where we got our little station set up for building the racks. We spend so much time in the snake building. It's kind of nice to have a job that we could do at our leisure here in the house. A lot of times when we get these racks, we get a few dozen of them in, and it's just kind of like a long process putting them together. And you've seen my snake building. It's definitely as crowded as it can be with snake racks. So we got a little more space in here to work. So we'll go ahead and pull these out. I have 1 stack left to do. Now yours will probably not look like this. It'll probably come in a shipping box. We're lucky that Reptile Basis isn't too far from us. And a lot of the times we place these orders, it's a good load of racks, and coincidentally they had another delivery to do in Virginia Beach or so. So Rich actually drove these down to us and dropped them off. So they didn't put them in the shipping box, but they still have them wrapped up just like you would get it at home if you ordered it online. So once you get it out of the box, you're gonna have your rack rolled up like this. You're gonna have Okay, so when you unbox your rack, yours is gonna come in a cardboard box probably, but it's still gonna be packaged the same way. You're gonna have the saran wrap or whatever holding it, or styrofoam, and they're all gonna come with a roll of heat tape. Usually there's these pins to help hold the tubs in place, and a pack of screws. So one of the first things you're gonna do is check and make sure all your pieces are there. And hand me that bucket. I always get a little Tupperware, and we just cut the pack of screws and put it in the Tupperware. I'll set the heat tape to the side for when we need it. And we'll go ahead and start cutting the saran wrap and get this rack undone. All right, so you're gonna have a top. We'll set that to the side. Here's our back, which is labeled side A and B. Set that to the side. We have one of the sides, which also, they've got the letters in the corners. We'll set those to the side. All right, now you want to make sure you keep these separate, because there's a few different types of shelves. We've got 4 of these ones, and I'm going to show you the difference. 5 of those. So we have 5 of those ones, and then we have 1 bottom. So always make sure you set your bottom separate. See, the bottom is the one that has these little grooves in it. That's for the optional casters. But you still, whether you use casters or not, have to have these on the bottom. I've definitely seen people do that before on accident. They get rushing, they put the rack together, and then they realize the bottom is somewhere in the middle of the rack, and the tub lines up right that a baby could get through this little hole if you don't make sure this one's on the bottom. So we're gonna sit that to the side. And then here's the other side. All right, so once we got all the pieces laid out, it's time to go ahead and start putting it together. Now, we like doing it in here because we got this little table. It keeps us from doing it off the ground. We put a blanket over it just so we don't scratch the coffee table. So I always start out by laying the back face down, or back down with the face up. And then we'll take one of these sides here. All right, so then we take side A and we match it up with side A. And we'll snap it down in that groove like that. And just in case you can't see it, you always make sure A on the back meets with A on the side. And same right here, we have the letter B. We're gonna make sure the B matches the B. So A and A, B and B, and then go from there. All right, so now that we made sure side A is matched with side A, we sit down in that groove, we make sure everything lines up, and we go ahead and we use the speed square just to make sure that it's nice and square before we screw it in. Not necessary, but I'm particular about it and I like it to be square. Now there's screw holes all along the side right here. We're just gonna match these screws up and then zip them in. And while Allison holds it square, we'll take the screw and put it in the screw hole. And then zip that screw in. Make sure not to over tighten it because you can countersink the screw too much. And it'll go right through that PVC. But they have holes already in them and everything, so try to go in straight. And there we go. That's one side right there. Now we just repeat on the other side. Let's spin it around. All right, so again, same thing. The other side, we're gonna match the B to the B. So this is the B on the side to the B on the back. Go ahead, you slap that up there for me. And you can see these grooves right here. And it just kind of sits right in place. So it's super easy once you get it in there. All right, so again, we're gonna do the same thing. We take the speed square, make sure the side is square to the back. And then it's got screw holes right on the side. And we just put our screw in the hole that's already there. And tighten it up. And there's 3 of them on each side. Again, just make sure you don't ever tighten your screws. All right, well that's the bulk of it. We're starting to have a rack here. All right, so again, make sure you got the bottom. The bottom is the one that has these little grooves cut in it. I'm gonna let you compare it to a regular one. They both have the groove for the heat tape, but the bottom has the little kind of chunks taken out of it. That's where the casters are gonna go. And even if you don't use casters, you still need to make sure you put the bottom on the bottom. All right, so here's one tip that we found. I'm not sure if you can get it on the camera, but where this heat tape is, there's a little groove down it. From here, see there's a little groove where the heat tape is recessed, but there's also, see, this little indentation right here. You can see how far I got that cardboard in it. A lot of times there'll be like the little plastic dust from where they cut this groove up in this crevice. And so what I do is take a piece of cardboard. You can take a piece of cardboard, hopefully off the box they ship the rack in, and I stick it in that groove like this. And I make sure I slide it down the track. And I'm just making sure there's no dust or that big like PVC sawdust type stuff. See right there, you can see I got a little bit on the cardboard. This is gonna help you out a lot when you go to put your heat tape, because it's a lot easier to take a piece of cardboard before you put this rack together and just kind of go down this groove and make sure it's clean. And now that we've done that, we got that little bit of PVC out of that crack. You make sure your recessed part for the heat tape goes into the bottom, or it's facing up, and this is the bottom. So we're making sure it's the bottom by here's the A, here's the B. So we're looking at it right there. We can read them. So this is the bottom. We're gonna go in this groove right here. And we're gonna take and stick it in the groove and stick it in the groove. And then we're just gonna try to ease it down. And then once we've done that, kind of make sure with your hands down here, push up or down on it, and make sure it's actually going down into the groove on the back of the PVC. And you'll be able to tell right here, pretty much that it's down all the way. All right, so once we've done that, it's time to go ahead and screw our bottom panel on, and that'll hold the whole rack together. I still like to put the speed square in and just double check that we're all nice and square there. And again, you can see right here on the sides, we've got these little screw holes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, if you're using casters, there's a different set of screws, and there's a piece of metal that you put in here. We'll show you that when we do the VE2. We put our casters on the VE2. If you're not putting casters on it, you go ahead and put all the screws in right now, and you use the same screws that we've been using for the rest of the rack. I'm gonna go ahead and just run it all the way down this side. And then 2 more right here. Again, all the holes are already there. You just make sure your screw is going in straight, and it should stay right in that PVC. Again, we're just going to repeat that on this side. 5 screws here on the bottom. And if you're too scared of shooting it in too hard, you could always use a screwdriver or something. All right, so that's our bottom and our sides and the back. So right now we really have the whole shelf of the rack and pretty much in a position where things are gonna go a lot quicker. It's about to look like a rack in just a matter of seconds now. So we have all these pieces right here, which are all the metal shelves that we've got. So again, 5 more pieces that we've got to check this little groove and make sure there's no dust in it. And then once you do that, you just slide it in. And again, make sure it's going in that groove in the back. And I'll go ahead and slide all of them in right now. I think that it's easier like that because your bottom's holding it together and holding it square, but it's still able to flex right here. So while it's got a little bit of play, it's just real easy to slide all these shelves in. Again, you just follow the track. You might have to push it up or down to make sure it goes in this little groove right here. And this little part right here will save you a lot of headache. If you leave some of this PVC in the trap, see right there was a piece. When you're trying to fight that heat tape through the trap, it really can be a pain. A little bit of dust will take a job that's supposed to be like very easy and very fast and make it just complete pain. Now, if you can see right here on the bottom as I lower the shelf, you got a groove right here too. So see, sometimes it's landing on the shelf above it or the lip. I'll take and push it and make sure it goes down all the way. It's very important. Just make sure you're down in that groove completely. And usually they're pretty good about it. Most of them don't have any, but you will really appreciate doing that step if you find one that has a little bit of that PVC dust in it. And then the heat tape goes in like it's supposed to. So that quick though, it's starting to look like a snake rack. And we just got to put it together. All right, that one's clear too. And then I'll leave the top one off. That way it'll just be easier for you to see how we did the heat tape and get the heat tape in. For now though, but I'm gonna go ahead and start screwing this one. And like I said, as I did it, it's easier to do it before you screw them in while there's play. So I'll start with the top one and that'll kind of tighten up both sides and make sure nothing comes out the grooves while I'm screwing it. So you can see right here again, both sides, 1 hole, 2 holes. Just keep it straight. And pretty easy to just kind of shoot it in there. And then I'm gonna go around and do the other side. And this will make sure that all the sides are held tight and it keeps all the other shelves locked in that groove. All right, and now I just kind of throw it together. And you can dial your gun down so it doesn't just countersink right through the PVC. That's what I do because it's real easy to shoot it right through there. Just following these guides, super easy. 2 screws per shelf per side. And just take your time with it. All right, then repeat on the other side. And again, if you use a gun, just dial it down or really baby it when you get close because you'll shoot it right through this PVC if you've got a strong gun. Almost there. And then we'll be starting on the heat tape after we screw the back on. All right, so that's the 2 sides. And we'll go ahead and stand this up. Turn it this way. So then we just gotta do the same thing. We got a couple on the back here. Get me another handful of screws. All right. So then we take a look at the back right here. All right, here's our holes where you pick which shelf you want to put the probe in. But we got 2 holes per shelf on the back as well. And we'll go ahead and tack those off. And then this thing will be pretty solid. And we go ahead and get started on our heat tape. Again, just take your time. Make sure you're lining your screws up straight as you can. That's pretty simple. They've already got all these holes in it for you. Hold it there so it don't slide. It's got 3 on the bottom. Just go right up the back. I know it can be a bit intimidating for some people to put their rack together, but the way they have these grooves and stuff and the screw holes already pre-done, it's just really not that difficult. At this point, we've put together tons of these things. It's a little easier when Allison's holding the rack to keep it from sliding instead of holding the camera. But as you can see, it's still very doable by yourself. All right, so we'll turn this around. And now it's time to start doing our heat tape. So they usually have this warning cord here. They put it on the cord, so I'll go ahead and hold it up and let you see it. It's just making sure everybody knows that you can't run this heat tape without being on a thermostat. So kind of smart on their part, because I know I've had plenty of people over the years that have hit me up and have running heat tape without a thermostat on it. That's definitely not a smart move. All right. So we just cut that off the cord, get it out of the way. Just kind of unwind this. So over the years, things have definitely been different. So just the way the heat tape is now doesn't mean that's how yours is going to show up. This is how they're doing it now. It's already got this tape on it. And usually it's got some tape on the end. But they always send different types of tape and stuff. We got a few different ones from over the years that have been different. So, all right, here's what's important. Here's your hole right in the back. This is where the power cord is going to come through. All right. And you don't want your heat tape sticking out the sides here, the way they have these grooves. So what I always do, it's easier to get this fed this way. You want to take the side where your power cord is going to go. This is where you want the heat tape to be finished, the end part. So we're going to stick it through the side right here. And I'm going to grab it on the other side of the rack. If you can see that. I'm grabbing it through the side of the rack. Now the reason I'm doing that is because, you can check right here. You can see the groove right there. Where that's where the heat tape is going. In that little groove. But it's a lot easier to stick it through and then stick it back and aim in to go in that groove. All right, so now you can see right here the way I fed it in. My heat tape is in this little track inside the shelf. And so you gotta stick your finger there to get it down. And now again, same thing. I don't want the heat tape to be on the outside of the rack, but it's easier to just stick it through. I'm gonna pull all this extra through. See, when I do it this way, my cord ends up like this. Now, I see a lot of people think to feed it in the shelf, they'll just seat it. They'll try to do it like a needle through the side right here, needle through the eye. And then that's gonna leave your power cord and your stuff on the outside. I don't like that. I like my heat tape to be all closed inside the rack. So I do it like this. It's just easier for me. So again, I'm gonna do the same thing. I've seen people do it like this and go to the next shelf and put it in, and then that leaves your heat tape on the outside. I don't like to do that. I don't want any of my heat tape exposed outside the rack. I'd rather it be inside the rack. So I'm gonna take, since I'm trying to go on this shelf, come right here so you can see this groove. See, there's a hole here where I can go down to the next shelf. So I'm gonna thread that through right here, and I'm gonna pull it out. Just gonna pull it all out, and then that's gonna make it easier for me to get it into the next shelf. So again, I'm trying to get it in that groove on the second shelf. And then you're always gonna hit that little slot where the probe is. So you're gonna have to stick your hand in and kind of feel around. There's a little groove where the probe goes under the tape. You might have to try to pick the heat tape and make sure it doesn't catch on either of them lips. Same right here. I'm going to use my finger and catch it so it don't hit this wall. And I'm going to pull it all the way through. And then you'll be able to see from inside the rack what I'm doing. You'll be able to see from inside the rack what I'm doing. I'm going to thread it down to the next shelf. And once I do that, obviously I can't just get it in the track like this. So it's easier to just stick it out. And then I'll thread it back in and make sure I go inside that groove. And make sure it doesn't catch. Thread it all the way through. And we're just going to repeat this process all the way down. again, make sure it goes in that little recessed groove. And this is where you'll really start to appreciate running that cardboard through that track and making sure you don't have any dust. Because if you have any of that PVC wedged in there, it could be a pain to push that heat tape through. And as you can see from me doing it, it goes through pretty effortlessly when it's right. Now we're almost there. And again, make sure we get it in that groove. Get it all the way through. And then we are on the last shelf here. Alright, and the very bottom one, again, same deal. Get it in that little recessed groove. Start feeding it through. Alright, so there's a little bit extra here. It used to be where it worked out pretty perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit it on its back. And you can see what I'm doing here. Got a little too much, but see right here on the bottom. So I need to get it to go up. So I'll take this cardboard I was using earlier. And just kind of, I'm pushing the tape with my hand. And then pushing it up here from the bottom. So I can kind of roll it up that side there. And then there you go. And I just roll the extra up the side, which you can see like that. I'm going to go ahead and take a piece of my foil tape right here. And I'm going to tape that edge down. That'll keep it from ever getting in the way of a tub sliding. And it'll keep that electric tape on the end from ever coming off. Alright, so kind of a pain to work like this. So just tack that. Alright, and you see what I did? I just put a little piece of tape to tack it. And this is just... Alright, so you can see I just put a little tiny piece of tape to tack the heat tape down. Where I rolled it up the side. I'm gonna stand it back up so we can see the top here. All right, so this is what we're left with on the top. Now, first things first, I'm gonna feed this cord through. And then I'm gonna tape it down, which again, what they've sent has changed many times over the years. This is what they're sending now. It's just the same piece of that kind of electrical tape. If I can get it peeled here. But they usually send something. So all right, where this top part is, the wire and all that, I'm gonna take some of this tape and I'm gonna slap it over right here to help hold that top of that heat tape down. And that's just to keep it from ever pushing forward and a tub rubbing it or something like that. But I really am a fan of this HVAC tape, which holds up under the high temperatures. And it's super sticky. I've never had stuff come unstuck with this when using it on heat tape. So I'm going to put me 2 pieces of that here too. just to show you how I stick it down. All right, so that's good. And now we got our cord back here through the back. I don't put my probe on the top shelf, but I am gonna go ahead and show you how the probe groove works right here while I have the top off. So let me go ahead and grab my thermostat and I'm gonna show you how we hook this up. All right, so like I said, we use the VE-300s and the VE-300 x2s. I like using these thermostats. I think they're pretty solid. I've never had an issue with mine, and I've got tons of them. I've used all different types of thermostats, and over the years I started phasing a lot of the other ones out and going straight to the VEs. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how we do the probes on it. I'm gonna open this up. I'm just gonna get a probe out. Now I don't put my probe on the top shelf. I like my probe on the 6s to be somewhere in the middle. I do the third shelf normally on the VE-6s, and on the VE-2s I put my probe on the bottom. Which is kind of, it's more of a balanced average. If I have the probe for this rack in the middle, maybe the top would be a hair warmer, the bottom be a hair colder. But if I put it in the middle, it's pretty consistently accurate from shelf to shelf to shelf, versus if I put it on the top and then maybe the bottom is significantly colder, or the other way around. It really just depends on how the ambient temperature is in your room. Ours is pretty stable, but I know a lot of times some people, especially if it's in the house, maybe it's in a garage with a concrete floor, and maybe your floor is a lot colder than the air that's in the room. So I like putting my probe in the middle, and it's a good balance. But I'm going to show you on the top while we have this lid off, because again, the person that asked the other day, this isn't how they did their probe. So I figure I'll take the time to show you how these racks are intended on being used. Okay, so on the back here, there's all these holes. Now, if I was doing this like for good, I'd stick it right here in like this third one. But like I said, just to show you, I'm gonna stick the probe in the back. All right, and then you would be reaching through to get your probe, and you're gonna feed it underneath this tape right here. Now there's a little groove under this tape, and that's where this fat part of this probe is sitting. So I go under the heat tape with it. You can kind of feel it drop into that probe. See or that groove. See how I'm pushing it, won't get forward anymore. All right, so anyway, you got your cord, and I love this feature because you do the cord in a zigzag like this. You see? And now if somebody pulls on this from the back, it's not going to yank the probe out because all the tension is right here on this corner. So you can't really see, but I'm pulling this probe right now, and it's staying in position because the pressure's on this corner here and the corner here. And it's not just a straight shot where if the probe was here and I yanked it, it might pull it from under the tape. So I like the fact it doesn't just rely on the tape itself to hold it. Now I go the extra measure. Again, I spoke about the foil tape. I'm not gonna stick it down all the way because again, I'm not leaving my probe on the top, but I just cover this groove like that. I'll put another piece here on the back. And again, I would be rubbing the tape smooth and getting it down all the way, but I'm not gonna do that because I don't wanna leave my probe here. But if you tape it in that groove, there's just no way this thing is coming out unless you want it to come out, and you peel the tape and you pull it out that little groove yourself. So this is one of the coolest features that I think I've seen on a rack. I've definitely had probes come loose before in the past, back when we had different types of racks where the tape was holding the probe to the heat tape itself, and that's all that held the probe up there, was relying on this tape. So now that I've showed you how to do the probe, let's go ahead and finish this rack off, and we're gonna put this top on. All right, so last step, we're almost there. We've almost got a completed VE-6 rack. Now we're gonna take the lid, and we're just gonna slide it in that same groove like we did all the other shelves. And look, it just went back perfect. And then all we have to do is take our couple screws, and we got the 3 on the sides, the 2 on the back. We'll start with the back and make sure it's pulled back all the way. And we already did the rest of the shell. real easy. Now, especially if you got somebody holding on to it so it's not moving around, it goes a lot faster. Normally me and Allison together can knock these things out a little faster than me. That's for sure. But as you can see, you can do it by yourself. All right, so we would just be putting our probe in the middle now if this was, you know, how we're going to do it. But that's the snake rack right there. That easy. Goes from the pieces in a box to fully functioning snake rack in maybe 30 minutes or less. If it takes you a little longer, again, no big deal. Just take your time. It's not that intimidating to put together, and it's not that hard the way they did it. So this is the VE-6 fully complete. We still have a couple more of these to put together, and I have a VE-2 set to the side that I'm going to put together. We do our stacks of VE-2 at the bottom and 2 VE-6s above that, and that's how we do one whole column. So let's go ahead and do this VE-2, and that way we can show you how to put that together, and also we can show you how to do the casters. The process of putting the casters on would be the same VE-6 or VE-2. So sometimes, you know, you can put the casters on this if that's what you choose to do. So we'll go ahead and show you that process as well. All right, so now we're gonna put together this VE-2 rack. And again, yours is probably gonna come in cardboard, and it's probably gonna be packed a little different. We got this one delivered to us in person, and it didn't go through FedEx, but all the steps should be the same, and it should be packed pretty much the same on the inside of the box. So here's the rack itself. And again, it's gonna come with a piece of heat tape that's already measured out for you. It's gonna come with a pack of the tub stoppers, and it's come with a pack of screws. So we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing we did for the other one and cut the bag of screws out and dump it in the bucket. And the screws always come with a bit for it too, because it's a square tip bit. And then we'll go ahead and cut this open. Now the process is pretty much the same, just a lot less shelves. But we'll still show you, and on this one we're going to show you how to put the casters in. All right, so Allison has the back in her hand. And we're going to sit that to the side. Here's our two sides. You see the A, the B, and the B. So we'll set those to the side here. And then again, it's the exact same top that's on the VE-6. And the only difference is you only get one middle shelf instead of 5. And again, you get the bottom shelf. But again, very important. The bottom shelf has these grooves and the middle shelf does not. So very easy to see the difference here. You got to make sure your bottom one is on the bottom. So we're going to set all these pieces to the side. And then the first step is going to be taking your back, which is a lot smaller on the VE-2. And we're going to do the same deal we did with the other one. We're going to lay that down, and we're going to match side A on the back to side A on the side. Do that. You line that up on that groove. Very easy. And then we'll take that square and we'll just make sure it's all in square. And then we'll tack this bottom one. And again, the same like the other one. It has pre-drilled holes. So we just gotta line these boards up. Put a screw in the pilot hole they already put there for us. So now we just repeat that on the other side. All right, so again, we're making sure these letters match up. We have B, that we're matching up with the B on the back. And then there's these grooves already on the side. You just line it right up and then make sure that you got everything lined up. So we use the speed square to make sure it's square. And then it's got these pre-drilled holes on the side. It's got 2 pre-drilled holes on both sides. So we'll go ahead and get those in. All right, so this one is gonna come together a little faster than the other one. But there's our sides. All right, so again, we make sure we got our bottom shelf here. The bottom shelves have the little grooves for the caster. And this time we're gonna show you how to actually do the caster. So again, just like all the other ones we did, we take this piece of cardboard and we just make sure this track is clear of any of this PVC dust where our heat tape is gonna go. And most of them are clean, but every once in a while you'll get a patch of that dust, and it is just so much easier to get it out while you're holding it in your hand versus trying to get it out while you're pushing the heat tape through. All right, so we're gonna get the bottom here in this groove. Get that all the way down. All right, so it's down in that bottom one. It's down in the sides. Okay, now we told you on the VE-6 rack, you do things a little bit different when you have the casters going on. So on the sides, you've got 2 holes, 1 hole, and 2 holes. These 2 holes and these 2 holes are where your bracket's gonna go, and we're gonna use a different set of screw for the casters. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put just the middle screw in. And that's just holding the shelf in place in the groove. I'm gonna do the same on both sides. Now the caster kit is sold separately. So you're only gonna have this if you ordered the casters with your rack. But this is the kit that they give you for the casters, which is 4 wheels, 4 brackets, and a pack of screws. And it's got instructions in there as well. Well, it's pretty easy, so I doubt you'll even need to take a look at them once you get this going. All right, and they're locking wheels. So up is unlocked, down is locked. Anyway, we're gonna take our 4 brackets right here, and we're gonna go ahead and pop these in place. So I'm gonna turn it around so you can see it. So this bracket, it's got a little lip on it. That lip is gonna go on the outside. So you can see right here where that is. You're gonna stick it right up in that hole, and you can see how the metal catches that bottom little peg or whatever. And we're gonna do that 4 times, all 4 of them. And we're gonna go ahead and get these in before we screw it, so it's not too tight to wedge it in there. I'm struggling to keep it from sliding off the table by myself. But all right, the bottom one here too. And just push it up, and you can see how that metal catches right here. And you can see how it's got the holes, 2 holes. So those 2 holes are gonna line up on the inside, just like that. So those 2 holes are gonna match up with these screw holes on the outside. So it just gives it a little extra strength, and it holds that wheel in place. All right, so you can see right there how we did it. All our metal brackets are in place. Now this is a different screw. It's a Phillips head, longer screw. So you gotta take your time with this and make sure you're nice and straight, or else you'll shoot it out the side of the PVC. So we'll switch bits here. All right. Again, same thing. If you're using a screw gun, you might have to dial it back just so you don't accidentally shoot it through. But these are long screws, so really take your time making sure it lines up with that metal. So you don't shoot it out the bottom. And you might have to play with the angle of it to get it through where the screw hole is. But it should be close enough that you could get it through. And then we just screw all those bottoms on like this. And just really take your time and line it up. You'll be able to tell if it's hitting that metal or not. So again, here I'm gonna flip it this way so you can see it. Just line your holes up. Try to go as straight as possible. Two left. So just really take your time with it and try to get it lined up right. It's a long screw. Let's see, as many of them as I've put in, I almost got that one where it's a little close to the bottom. So if yours is showing a little bit, you know, don't beat yourself up too much. I've put together 100 of these things and, you know, I still did it too. So, but for the most part, pretty good, as long as you take your time with it. So that's the casters right there. I would normally put the wheels on afterwards, but I'll go ahead and show you. So easy. Now that you've done this, it just pops in there. And you just pop all four of these things in. Doesn't get much easier than that. And there's your casters. Just make sure you got them unlocked so that you can roll them. But that's it right there. That's the casters. And again, same process for the VE-6 or VE-2 racks. So let's go ahead and move on to putting the middle in. I'm going to pop all these wheels out while we're working. All right. So again, the middle shelf. Oh. We're going to do the same thing we did with this groove. And we're going to make sure we wipe all that dust out. All right. And then make sure your recessed heat tape groove is facing up. And there you go. In one shelf, we've already got to that level that we screw this one and we're putting our heat tape on. So really easy. This is a great rack for somebody with a small collection, a couple of animals. Maybe you want it for a quarantine rack, or maybe you're like me and you got the VE-6s and then you got looking at the height from the top of the rack to the ceiling and you said, man, I could fit a couple more snakes on that, but I couldn't fit another 6 on it. And it'll let us fit as many snakes as we can going back to the 2. But I like this one for the bottom of my stacks because, again, 2 rows on 1 probe. Even if the floor is a little bit cooler, it lets the heat tape run a little hotter on these bottom 2 tubs to get the temperature in the tub where I want it without overheating the snakes that are in the middle of the room. All right. We'll go ahead and flip it over and do these back screws real quick. Because if we don't do them right now. All right, then we'll be on to the heat tape. And it's just 3 on each side, 3 on the bottom. We'll do the top once we put the heat tape in. And it goes together really fast. All right, so now we're on to the heat tape. So we're gonna do this the same way we did the other one. Where is, there we go. All right, so again, they got the cord on it. They took the time to put it up there, so I'm gonna take a second and show it to you. It's just saying that you can't run this heat tape without having a thermostat on it. And again, they're passionate enough about it. They put this cord on it. You might think that that's common sense, but man, sometimes people just don't know. We were all new at one point. You can't run this heat tape without having it on a thermostat. It'll get too hot. You start a fire, overheat your snakes. So always put it on a good thermostat. All right, so now that we unwound that, we're gonna do the same thing. Much shorter piece though. We're gonna thread it out first. And again, this is the side where the power cord is. And then we're gonna feed it back into this little groove right here where our heat tape is going. And pick it up over there where it's caught. Just keep feeding it through. Again, if you miss that step of wiping this dust out that track, this very simple job might turn into a complete pain. Because if there's a little bit of dust in it, it doesn't take much. The heat tape just doesn't glide through it so easy. So it's worth those extra couple seconds. Alright, now usually on the tube it works out perfect. Exactly to the end, so we don't have to tape the side down or anything. And we're just gonna leave it just like that. Now we're gonna take this top part and we're gonna tape that down just like we did the other rack. And I'm gonna slap it over right here to help hold that top of that heat tape down. And that's just to keep it from ever pushing forward and a tub rubbing it or something like that. So I'm gonna put me 2 pieces of that here too, just to show you how I stick it down. All right, so that's good. All right, so again, now might be a good time for you to put your probe in on this one. I personally put mine on the bottom, but it's really like it's a 2-shelf rack. So I think you're just as good to put it up here if you wanted to. That's personal preference though. I like mine at the bottom, but make your decision there. You can either put it in now before you put this lid on, or go ahead and put this lid on. And that is the last step. We're gonna take and fit our last shelf in the groove here, and then just kind of feed it back. Now, if it doesn't line up right, let's stand it up. You might have to push. There you go. You might have to push up or down with the shelf to get it to fit into that back track. You want to make sure it's in that track in the back and all the way down. There we go. All right. And then I'll take and put some screws in the back first. That way I'll make sure that it is all the way pulled back before I get putting them screws in the side. So there's 3. Turn it, you can see it. All right, so now I'll go ahead and screw it from the back and make sure it's pulled back all the way. All right, and then all we got is the two sides, and that'll be another one down. Again, all the holes pre-done for you. You just got to put the screw in the hole they've already put there and line it up to go in straight as you can. Again, just be careful not to countersink it too much. If you're not careful with the screw gun, you could definitely shoot the screw right through this PVC. And there you have it. We've done the VE-6 and we've done the VE-2. We got one more VE-6 we're going to put together, and then we're going to take them down to the shop. What's cool about these though, these little grooves, if you noticed them, all the racks are built to where the top has got a groove going down and the bottom has a little foot. So it makes it so it's really nice when you stack these on top of each other, because the foot from the rack above it fits into this lip on the rack below it, and it locks it in place to where it's pretty solid one stack. We'll take a look at that once we get them outside, but that's the process. Very easy. Just take your time with it, and the thing kind of goes together on its own once you get moving with it. So we'll get these back out to the shop. Hopefully that helps. If you have any questions or anything, don't hesitate to ask, but I think once you get going on it, it's pretty simple. And we're done. We just set it up there, and like I said, all these racks have the little grooves where this foot perfectly fits into this top, and now you can see it. It's locked in there enough, it moves as one unit. So now the fun part, we got it built. That was really easy. The best part about having a new snake rack is getting to put new snakes in it. So we'll go ahead and put the tubs in here, and we've already got lots of babies that we can go ahead and start filling these things up. So again, hope it helped. If you have any questions or anything, don't hesitate to reach out. But these are the racks we use, and these are the racks we love. So hopefully you enjoy them too. All right, thanks for watching.